Hello everyone, Dr. Cinema here. According to the executives at Fox Studios, now a division of Disney, May 13th, in the celebration of the fact that we can now pre order tickets for Dark Phoenix online, May 13th is now the official day called X-Men Day. And I am a fan of the X-Men franchise. And so is Squatchy. No, Hugh Jackman's not here. I couldn't get him. Even if I tried, he's doing promotional stuff for something to do with The Greatest Showman. I don't know why he does this. Shut up. It is weird that Hugh Jackman is a credible badass that can also sing and dance. Anyway, the X-Men franchise has done a lot over its nearly 20-year run. Or I guess exactly 20 years, depending on how they plan to approach the New Mutants film. Anyway, let's go back to the beginning. The year 2000, the first X-Men film came out. It's considered to be one of the greatest films of its genre. To be honest, I think we're remembering it better than it actually was. Now, the 90s was a horrible time for comic book movies. Yes, we have Batman Returns, yes, we have Blade, but in 1 year alone, we got Batman and Robin, Spawn, and Steel, starring Shaq. That was just 1 year alone. The 90s was a horrible time for comic book movies, no matter what company, Marvel, DC, whatever. The year 2000, they decided to approach the X-Men movie a little bit less like a comic book property. Of course, obviously, they did have a couple of nods to the original source, but more of it as it trying to be just a film about prejudice in America. And the theme of the first movie never went beyond prejudice is bad. No real nuances, no subtlety really, just prejudice is bad. But of course, we got some iconic performances from Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier, Ian McKellen as Magneto, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, obviously, and we got some other great performances from other supporting cast characters like Halle Berry as Storm, Asterisk. She got better with each film. But overall, it was an okay film. But that's fine. It's all it needed to be in order to gain back credibility for this genre of film. It didn't need to be excellent. It just needed to be okay. Get people thinking, hey, we're not laughing at a comic book movie. Maybe there's something here that's actually serious and worth taking a look at. And that was the importance of the first X-Men film. There's no denying that. Now, the next film was X2 X-Men United. It's more or less the same as the previous film, though a little bit better because it does have a couple more scenes that are actually cool to watch. But yeah, it's pretty much more or less the previous film. X-Men The Last Stand. It's known as one of the worst sequels of all time and one of the worst comic book movies of all time. And yeah, it does earn that title. But in a sense, it is more entertaining than the previous films because even though it is really bad, it does a grade of entertaining stuff that, while it doesn't connect as a whole by themselves as like individual scenes and action sequences, are really cool to watch. And there's actually more nuance and subtlety in this film. Not a lot, but a little bit, which I appreciate. But then, of course, after that, we got X-Men Origins Wolverine. There is literally nothing I can say about this film that people haven't already said, including Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, that's right. I don't own any of the main X-Men films, but I own this shit. Go figure. Anyway, 2011, they decided to go the prequel route. Or I guess, stick with the prequel route. This time called X-Men First Class, a younger versions of Xavier, Magneto, and Mystique. And this was the film I think a lot of people remember the first X-Men film for being. This was really entertaining, great characters, great action, their yellow outfits, finally. It was a really solid and great film to watch. Then in 2013, we got the next film, The Wolverine. This was decent, leagues above Origins, but this definitely wasn't everything that it could have been. But I like it well enough. Then 2014, we got the next X-Men film, Days of Future Past, a time travel film that mainly takes place in the 70s with the younger versions that we've seen in First Class, while also including the versions of the original films like Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen. And of course, the focal point of Days of Future Past is, of course, Wolverine, because for some reason this film franchise has an obsession with Wolverine. So this was a time travel X-Men film that got a lot of praise, actually. And yeah, I really like Days of Future Past, but I don't think it's as great as a lot of people are making it out to be. There are some timeline continuity errors that pop up in later films that can be connected back to Days of Future Past. And that was a film that was mainly used just to get rid of their bad films and start fresh all over again. But it was still a fun film to watch. Then 2016, we get the awesomeness of Deadpool. After being forced to portray a god-awful version in Origins, Ryan Reynolds came back with the most comic-accurate film of this genre that has ever existed. Everyone freaking loves this film. It's a phenomenon. I give it 4 Golden Girls. It was the best picture of the year. Betty White. It was awesome. It was beautiful. Then later that same year in 2016, we got X-Men Apocalypse. While First Class took place in the 60s and Days of Future Past mainly took place in the 70s, Apocalypse took place in the 80s, again focusing on the younger versions of the characters. It recycled the same old destruction of the world plot we've seen in a lot of other films from this genre, and other films doing a lot better. And so X-Men Apocalypse was ultimately underwhelming. But I will not say it's nearly as bad as The Last Stand or Origins. There was some stuff it did do right, and there was some stuff I did find a little bit interesting. So, honestly, even if you're a little bit curious, you can go ahead and watch it if you want. Again, it's not nearly as bad as Origins or The Last Stand. But then, in 2017, the crowning jewel. Hugh Jackman's swan song. The third and final film focusing on Wolverine, Logan. For different reasons, but like Origins, there's really nothing much I can say about this film people haven't already said. But to put in a few final words, amazing character work, R-rated action, and an emotional send-off to a character we have grown to love over the years. 2018, last year at the time of recording this, was supposed to see 3 different X-Men films come out. New Mutants and Dark Phoenix. Both of those got delayed. But we still got Deadpool 2, an awesome film again. Love this film. Now to talk about the other 2 films we're supposed to have gotten already. Dark Phoenix will be taking place in the 90s and will again focus on the younger versions of the characters that we have seen in the original films. And it will again focus on the Dark Phoenix X-Men plot, which was, let's just say, touched upon in The Last Stand. They were making it the main focus of The Last Stand, but seeing as how bad it turned out, it's probably more accurate to say that they just touched upon the Phoenix Saga. But again, Dark Phoenix is set to come out next month in June at the time I'm recording this, and honestly, at this point, there's a 50-50 chance it could be good or it could be bad. If it turns out good, It will be a solid send-off to a franchise that's been around for nearly 20 years. If it ends up being bad, looking back to X-Men The Last Stand and X-Men Apocalypse, it'll be just like old times. Silver lining? And the other film we were supposed to have gotten already is New Mutants. It has been delayed 3 times. First push to 2019, second push to later in 2019, and the third and final push, thanks to Disney, is now going to be released in 2020. Now, both Dark Phoenix and New Mutants were originally meant to kickstart a new trilogy of films. Obviously, that's not going to happen with Dark Phoenix, with them even saying that there's not going to be a post-credits scene. As with New Mutants, I don't know how they're going to plan to approach any potential reshoots with that film. But depending on how they go about it, this could be truly the final film of the franchise, or they could use it as a way to help introduce the mutants to the MCU. But for right now, let's just say New Mutants will be the last film of the franchise and say that the franchise has lasted for 20 years. 20 years, that's a long time to be around. Think about it, even the MCU hasn't been around for 20 years. And that's really the importance of the X-Men franchise. It wasn't perfect, there were some bombs, but there were some great films too. And it helped gain credibility back to the superhero genre when it really needed it the most. And it helped lay the groundwork for other future comic book films to actually be good, be awesome, be iconic. And while even if they knew if they were doing it at the time or they didn't, there's no denying the impact it has had on the genre. And so I love and appreciate the X-Men film franchise. And I really am hoping that it goes out on a solid note. That's really all I have to say for this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys next time.